Welcome to Become a Unique Podcast, a place where you can be well and be you. We are all about lifestyle with a focus around wellness over here. One week we may be talking about gut health, and the next week we may be having a conversation about being enough. No matter what the topic, the goal is to inform you with information and tools so we can vibrate higher as our true selves. Be ready to grow in a beautiful way. Becoming Unique is a growing podcast and would love your support by following or subscribing to this podcast. In Apple Podcasts, click the plus button. Reviews are also helpful for the podcast growth, so all reviews are appreciated. And lastly, but not least, be sure to share the podcast because the best advertisement is word of mouth. So let's get started with today's episode. Hey y'all, so if you are listening to this podcast in real time, you would know that we are in December of 2022 and we are coming to the home stretch of 2022 as well as the home stretch of this season of the Becoming Unique podcast. So yeah, there's only about 3 more episodes left before we close out this season. And boy, oh boy, has this been such a beautiful season. Yes, it has been. There's been a lot of conversations with starting off the season with oral health care, talking about chiropractor, sound healing, nutrition, fitness. The list can go on and on, but if you have been consistent with listening to the Becoming Unique podcast, you would always hear an undertone of self-care and healing. I think that comes with every single episode. No matter what the title of the episode is, you will always hear some form of, self-care and healing. And this week is about healing. And the next few weeks going forward, closing out this season, closing out this year, will be different conversations around healing. But not talking about healing where it's like we need to run to the store and get something to heal. All of the tools that we have, or many of the tools that we have, are within us. And it's about mindset and energy and so many other elements that we already have within us. So there is a beautiful focus on that over the next few weeks, and please be open to all of the beautiful messages that will be coming in through the different guests that I have in store for you. And let me not chit chat too long because today is another beautiful episode with some conversation around healing. So let's get started. Today on the Becoming Unique podcast, I have such a beautiful and an amazing guest by the name of Tracey. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to, get into today's topic about self-healing. But before we get started, please let everyone know, who is Tracey?
Well, my name is Tracey Whittet. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. metro area. I lived there for the first third of my life. Then I went out to Colorado with my family and lived there. It was beautiful. And now I'm down here in the high desert of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I worked in corporate America, like for Xerox and lots of different companies. And I was always doing a good job at work, but it wasn't really who I am. So on the side, I would always study energy work and spirituality and meditation and yoga and all those kinds of things. So that's really who I am, but I was out in the world as who I thought I needed to be until about a year and a half ago. I decided, I'm older now. I can actually retire, semi-retire, and now I'm just focused on doing the healing work and bringing my service to the world as the best that I can. So I'm so grateful to be on podcasts because I can at least talk about it rather than hide like I was when I was in corporate America, so to speak.
Oh, I absolutely love your story because, it's beautiful that you understood you were working, but at the same time, you knew that there was a deeper message that needed to come out of you. And it's beautiful that now you are walking into the pathway of this message that you're sharing with the world.
Yes.
And thank you for listening to your soul and listening to your spirit and arriving to us today as you are. And I can't wait to dig deeper into this with you. And but before we dig deeper into healing and all that type of stuff,
Sure.
can you please share with me what does self care look like for you?
I think self care for myself and for anyone has to do with actually paying attention and having the awareness and listening to your body. Now, because I was from the East Coast, walk with me, talk with me, let's go, 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 be productive, do all that stuff. I would just go and go and go and not listen, like when I needed to rest or when I needed to pause. And now I've learned that there's a thing called the sacred pause. It's like how I was as a child. I would play in Virginia. It was beautiful weather, beautiful place in the summer, ride your bike, do all those things. But then there are those moments that I remember most recently is where you just like sit in your green grass lawn and look up at the sky and see the clouds going by and just being
Mm.
without having your thoughts interrupted and just taking care. I guess I'm an introvert, so this is like a stretch to actually like come out and talk and do all this stuff, but it's how I reclaim my energy. And so when I listen to myself, um, and notice if I actually pay attention and then take action for that, then my life goes better. So like if you're starting to feel sick, what I would do is go to sleep because my body will just rejuvenate itself if I get out of the way and just let it rest and
Mm.
rejuvenate. But I've always, for whatever reason, been interested in health. It's just kind of like my blueprint or something, like how I came in. And I've always wanted to learn about nutrition and exercise. So the holistic health has been a passion of mine. And then it kind of like morphed into more of the invisible realms, like etheric and things like that you can't see or that I can't see. And
Mm.
it's basically physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. However you do that, however you feel called to act out, take action is what I mean by act out. I've taken good care of myself for a long time as far as nutritionally eating organic. I've gone from vegetarian to keto to I investigated all, and my body does better with lighter food and
Mm.
hydration. We were talking before we started about the essentia water. I mean, water is so healing. So I hydrate, I move, I
Mm.
rest. And lately, now that I'm not in corporate America and such, I actually allow myself to be creative and read and draw. And not that it's to be like in a gallery, it's just to allow my soul to express itself. So I think the more that we can allow our true nature to come out and not judge it, that's self care.
Beautiful. I love that you said at the beginning about the sacred pause. And I love that name, Sacred Pause. I just never heard it like that before. And I know that I am a person that loves a sacred pause. And I am also an introvert. And a lot of times I'm just sitting there in my stillness and just being at that moment. And I live around a lot of extroverts, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? Why you just sit there? Like they think I'm supposed to be busy." I'm like, "I'm good. I just need to just be." And
Yes.
and it's also recognizing what works for you. They may not be able to work with the sacred pause because they have to stay busy all the time. But sacred pause is healing for me. And like you were saying, with when you start to feel sickness, like, oh my goodness, the rest, to get sleep, to get that healing. Your body is healing when you are sleeping. So I agree with you on that one. It's so much like get your sleep. And I feel like so many of my podcast guests have been saying this recently, like sleep, sleep, get the sleep. It's just so healing. And you said a lot of key points like taking action and so much more. And I thank you for sharing all of this. And again, you gave us the reminder that self care comes from within. You don't have to go outside to go find self care. Yes, it's nice to go and buy a new pair of shoes one day and say self care, but the reality is recognizing those everyday functions that you have within yourself that you can apply for the self care. And I thank you for that because, self care is also healing. There are many forms of healing. There's not one blue pill, but self care is one of the forms of healing. Um, but I wanted to talk to you today to get the conversation started around self healing because I know, when I read your bio, you had something about self healing. So, you know, what is self healing and how is self healing possible?
So for me, uh, going within every day before I start my day, um, through contemplation or meditation, and just I think self healing is actually connecting to yourself. And how do you do that? Well, you actually choose it. You
Mm-hmm.
actually make a choice to go within, deep within, and connect to yourself and your true self. And what do I mean by that? It's like your higher self. You could call it God, creator, source. It's the energy that animates everyone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is who we truly are, our essence, our soul. And every morning, what I do, like we have physical hygiene, we take a
Yeah.
shower, brush our teeth, all of this. And I use spiritual hygiene because I feel like we're not just this physical body, that we actually emanate on many different levels, layers, timelines, dimensions. And through the use of light and sound, it's kind of like if you reduced us, soul, to the most foundational, fundamental level, we're kind of like just light and sound. Not just, but light and sound. And so the work that I do is I actually call in my guides of 100% pure divine light. And the reason I do that, say those words of 100% pure divine light, is because the first time I had an energetic clearing with the multidimensional body balancing, the person who taught me this work, or part of the work that I do, because I've gotten integrated a lot,
Mm-hmm.
called in my guides of 100% pure divine light. And then she had this really long pause. And I'm laying on a body work table, fully clothed. And I was like, what's going on? Why are you silent? And she says, oh, well, there's a changing of the guard. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that means that I thought I was working with divine qualities, but they weren't exactly the highest of the high and the holiest of the holy. So it's very important if we're light and sound, like supposedly we're not even physical, but it sure seems real, that if we are to use our voice, which is vibration, which is to me, it's like light in action. Its sound is light, but it's coming through us. And so we're very powerful and we forget that. And so as we use our voice, our thoughts, our feelings in the highest and greatest way for ourself. We talk about self-healing, but we also talk about self-love. How can you actually just love the heck out of yourself without thinking that you're conceited or narcissistic or any of those things? It's really your divine right to do that, and you need to do that so that you can be of your highest and greatest quality and potential to be an expression in the world. I mean, like, what if you are quote unquote God also? I mean, we are the emanation of this light and sound and this quality of life of why we're here. And so back to self-healing, I call in my guides of 100% pure divine light. And I ask for my highest and greatest good to be done for myself and for all concerned. It's just the way that I connect in the morning to what I can't see, but I know exists, whether that's faith, whether that's just chills on your body and you just know, like truth bumps, etc. And then I call in the light that I use when I work with people, but I use it for myself. So I take a light bath every morning with myself, and I intend this so that I can be as balanced and productive and as high vibe as possible to get rid of all the blocks and the disconnects and the misperceptions and all those kinds of things that we think we're present, but when in fact we've got DNA going on in our body, that we've inherited things that create our personality from our ancestors in our genetic line. And so sometimes I get motivated, like yesterday I was motivated, I got the inspiration to clear my mother's side of the family, on all levels, layers, timelines, and dimensions. And I use light and sound and phrases that the guides help me with to clear it out. And what I like about that is I don't need to know the story. I don't need to know what traumas happened for them. I have compassion, but I don't need to know. I just want that crap out of me.
Yeah.
Because it's insidious. It's like you don't really know it's there, but it's affecting my ability to be fully present because I've got a past pattern going on in my life that I'm unaware of. So I do that, and I clear my ancestry so many generations back, and I use light and sound to do that.
So, okay. You've been saying so many amazing things, and I was curious to know, what does the light bath look like for you in the morning? I know you say 100% pure divine light, but are you just saying the words, or are you doing any other actions with it?
I'm thinking them, I'm imagining them, I'm knowing that that's happening. And one of the real simple things to do for anyone listening is to just in the morning get quiet, breathe in and out through your heart chakra, in between, in the front and the back. And that's the connection between you and spirit. It's like when spirit, let's say, is exhaling, you're inhaling. And then when you're exhaling, spirit is inhaling. I just have that connection pattern, thought, practice. And then you could, just to make it simple, not to teach the whole class in 2 minutes, is to imagine yourself standing in a rainbow light waterfall. And that could be as simple as you do that in your imagination. It's just like all of this light coming. I'm standing in the center of a rainbow light waterfall, and I'm asking it to clean, clear, cleanse, heal, harmonize, and balance me.
Yeah.
On all levels, layers, timelines, and dimensions, and bring me to this present time. And you'd be surprised how beautiful it is when you and your guides, or whatever you want to call it, you and the divine work together in concert. They might take you down a wormhole in your imagination of whatever you need in that moment. And what this does is it works with you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It's a holistic approach. And so I do a lot more things, but rather than, I use the violet consuming flame. And I ask the violet consuming flame to clean, clear, cleanse, heal, harmonize, and balance me on all levels, layers, timelines, and dimensions. Well, if I've got wounds and disconnects in my being, in my invisible bodies, which are, you have your physical, which we can see. You've also got your super physical. Let's say it's right next to you and it goes out like a rainbow light goes out with the different colors. You've got your astral body, which is emotions. Your causal body, which is your past lives, if you believe in that, or memories. You've got your mental body, all where your thoughts and, conclusions derive, as well as your spiritual body, your etheric body, a higher mind, and then your soul body. So there's all of these things going on. And most of the time when we have wounds or disconnects, I feel and imagine it to be like energy, like an energy blob. And it gets stuck in the matrix of who I am, like graph paper all around me. And if I'm thinking negative, or if I'm thinking positive, it has an attraction to it, and that energy can glob and stick and stay. So I ask it to be cleared out. Not that I know exactly what's going on, but I trust. That's the
Yeah.
big thing, is inner trust,
Yeah.
to know that it's occurring. So that, and so let me just say, sorry, this is really important. I think 100% pure divine light is really important to call in. Asking for your highest and greatest good is important to call in. And then just using the light in your own imagination. I use the rainbow light waterfall. You could use you could use the violet consuming flame to get rid of things. But
Mm-hmm.
once you get rid of things, you want to heal and seal yourself with liquid golden light, because the universe likes a vacuum, and I don't want anything negative or something to replace it that I don't want in there.
Uh-huh.
So I heal and seal with liquid golden light, and then I anchor and hold with divine protection. I mean, there's things that people have in their own beliefs and statements that can be said, whether it's Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
Judaism, whatever you believe is fine, as long as you connect to the divine, clean yourself up, heal and seal yourself, and go out in your day to be as whole as possible. And it's a process.
Yeah, yeah. This is really beautiful that you're saying all of this because, like you started off, you said we wake up every day and we do our hygiene stuff. We take our shower, we get ready for the world on the outside, but it's also very important to think about cleansing ourselves internally, spiritually, and on those other realms that you can't see around you, so we are prepared to go out there in the world. So even if someone's listening to this and they're like, "Oh, this is woo woo," you know, you believe in energy. No matter if you don't believe in anything, when you walk in the room, be like, "I don't like her attitude. I don't like her energy. I don't,"
Mm-hmm.
or "Ooh, I like her energy." Even if you don't believe. So by you just saying that, there's something exterior happening. It wasn't necessary the clothes the person had on or the fact that they took a shower that day. It was something in their aura field that you were attracted to or non attracted to or something. So being mindful that we are also walking out in this world with this field as well too. And by saying positive words, like you're saying, bringing the highest divine light and so on, you know, it cleanses us to walk out into the world, and it also cleanses our mind mentally to be prepared for the world, because our mind loves to chitter chatter,
True.
and then with the chitter chatter we could be thinking about things from negative thoughts from yesterday, from 10 years ago, and so on. And now this is now in our energetic field, and we're carrying that weight along with us. So by setting the tone for the day, by doing this cleansing ritual spiritually, is very important.
I think that helps self healing, self love, all of those things. And, the truth is, a lot of us are fractured through trauma, through disconnects, through hurt feelings that, those can fracture us, if you will. And doing this practice of actually connecting with yourself, connecting with the divine, and realizing that you are a sacred, holy being here. You don't have to think that you're walking on water or any of that. I'm just saying, remember that you're a divine human being. And this creates that wholeness, so that we're not looking at the world so myopically, just so small, that
Mm-hmm.
there's a bigger picture out there. There's a bigger wholeness to us.
Yes. And there was something that you had said when you were speaking earlier, and I wasn't sure what it was. What is the violet consuming flame?
Oh, well, years ago, I used to study with some people in Longmont, Colorado, and it was the Saint Germain. If you've heard of Saint Germain, he uses the violet consuming flame, and I think her name is Elizabeth Prophet. I think she's still on the planet. I could be wrong, but she created I want to call it a publishing house or a clearing house called Summit Lighthouse. I believe it was called Universal Summit Lighthouse. I could be wrong. It's been so many years. But basically, the ascended masters that are around, I mean, there's so many spiritual works, so many books. I used to have a couple of them. I think I still do. They're really cool books because it's like green leather with purple type. but it's sacred, it's anointed, it's powerful. And so the violet consuming flame is a light tool that we can all use that actually cleans you up. So let's say you have a wound. If you looked at that wound, if you were clairvoyant and you could see the wound, it would look like a counterclockwise spiral going into the body. And so the violet light goes into the wound, cleans it all up. Just the light. Think of yourself as going into a washing machine, but you're directing the light to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you ask it to eject any negative objects, reverse any negative thought forms, clean, clear, cleanse, heal, harmonize, and balance. Mm-hmm. So now you got that big gaping hole that had a wound energetically, and you've cleaned it all out, but it's still there and it's clean. And that's why you use the healing liquid light to pour into that wound and seal it, heal and seal it. And then you activate upward spirals, because that's how we're supposed to be. This is expansion, this energy that's wide and vast. And we forget that. Mm-hmm. We think we're human and we're all fearful and contracted and we get hurt. So we have these implosions, these energies that come at us. So after you clean it all up with the violet light and you use your imagination to see it and feel it and know it's there, but it's a thing. Mm-hmm. The violet consuming flame is a thing. And I know that Saint Germain used it and he's all about the violet flame. Okay. So Summit Lighthouse, I think is what it's called. And you guys could look it up on the web. All about the violet flame. And then the liquid golden light is just healing and sealing. That's very high vibe. And then you activate upward spirals so that you're like returning yourself to how you were whole and complete, not this wounded person. You clean it up and then you expand it and heal and seal it. And then the other one is the golden white light. Like you anchor and hold with divine protection of truth, wisdom, and healing love. You know, people think, and the dark is real. The dark energies are real. I don't focus on them. I respect them. It's like electricity. I respect it. I don't, mess with it. But at the same time, the light always prevails. Always. So if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is light. Mm-hmm. And the dark could be 9 to 1. Yeah. But whatever they're called, negative terminology for all of those levels of it, the light always prevails. It never gets to level 10. Mm-hmm. So I want to instill, if you call in 100% pure divine light, you're going to have a better life because you're not attracting any lower frequencies. And sometimes we have lower frequency experiences to help us grow and unfold and expand. So I'm not saying the dark is bad. It's just a thing, it's like what creates the contrast so that why we're here in this 3D realm. It exists. I mean, we kind of are a warring planet. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
So it exists, but you can focus and raise your frequency by focusing on the light and calling in your entourage, your angelic assembly, your council of light to assist you. We think we're in this alone, and we are never alone. We always have support and help. And some people may think it's woo-woo, but there is a spiritual aspect and dimension to this life here. I think that's why we're here, is to become more of who we truly are.
Yes. And one of my favorite quotes, I have many favorite quotes, but it's like where intention goes, energy will flow. True. So with understanding that there is two different lights, there is a light and there's a dark. And if we understand that every day we can focus towards the light, that's where the energy will flow within us. And dark is real; it does exist. But let's be mindful not to pour into that energy.
Right.
To pour into the light energy, and like you said, the dark it may be present in a lot of our lives, but if we look back at the dark times, it took us to an even higher vibration if we allowed it to. And be like, oh, I kind of needed to go through that so I could get out of that stuck place.
You're right.
So everybody serves its course, but be mindful where intention goes, energy will flow.
Yes.
focus towards the light.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and we do have to unfold. And what if there is such a thing as karma? What if we were a perpetrator in a previous incarnation? I don't think energy, I think that's what Einstein or somebody like that said, that you can't destroy energy. So if that's true and we're energy, I mean, that's what kind of animates our breath and everything about our body being here, that when we leave and release from our body, that energy goes somewhere and continues to live a life of its own. And so what if there are other incarnations? And what if you were a perpetrator? You wouldn't think that you would do that in this. Oh no, that's not me. But I don't know what's going on. I don't. I admit it. I do not know. I trust, but I don't know.
So, okay, so we understand like light is important. Light is us. We are light, light and sound, like you said. So I think we made it very clear about the whole understanding around light. And light is healing. And and I know you deal with like, healing on a different realm. You're not giving healing where you're saying, here goes the magic blue pill. Now you're healed. Um, what does healing look like for you?
Healing for me looks like the person who is receiving energy or is in, or even for myself, actually transforms. That's healing, where they actually have more awareness and take more of an empowered point of view and allow themselves to treat themselves with loving kindness.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important
Yeah.
that we, I think I froze. I think it's very important that we notice the small wins, the small times, like if sometimes people come to my table and they just cry,
Yeah.
and then on Zoom it happens there as well. It's very mysterious. I don't know how to discuss alchemy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like spiritual alchemy. And how it works is through the light and the sound. I don't do it, but when I witness someone getting healed, they are they are expanding in their awareness. They're acting out in self-loving ways. They are transforming. They are unfolding. We see small um, small increments of success through someone feeling more whole, more connected, more true to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel better, feel lighter. And it's hard to put words to it. And I have a friend who's a clairvoyant, and she was my client. And she laid on the table. And this works energetically long distance as well over Zoom. It doesn't have to be on a bodywork table, but she lives here in Santa Fe area.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, like a biofeedback machine, that everything that I was saying, that I guess I'm clairaudient and I can hear it. And I almost take dictation. So people think I'm just talking all wise, when in fact it's spirit coming through me and I'm just saying it. I'm the one voice for it. That's the sound. She confirmed that everything that I was saying was happening because she could see it. So that was pretty amazing. So healing occurs when we get out of our own way, we connect to our innermost self, we make small incremental changes in our life that are loving and kind to ourselves, even if it's just eating more vegetables or whatever. You talked about the light. I mean, look at plants, photosynthesis. I mean, that's what they live on, is light. And I think that we do too.
Yeah.
And the light cleanses us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that you said that, it's healing is expanding in one's awareness as well too. Yeah, because I just felt that to be so amazing because a lot of times I can see you could see as an outsider with other people. Sometimes you can be like, oh, if they do this or if they go there or they do that, it's like you could kind of like see for them like, if you just do this, your problems would be like work through. But sometimes a lot of times they're so stuck, as you explained it before, like you're stuck and they can't see it. So being open to expanding in your awareness so you can be able to receive all the light around you that people, things, life is trying to offer you, spirit, guide, gods, you know, and once you can open up, opening those chakras up, opening that heart up so you can receive all of the beautiful messagings that's out there for you. I just felt so much beauty and expanding in your like awareness around all of this. So
Ah,
so you definitely help people through spirituality and other healing techniques. Can you talk about what you do?
um, if you're talking about transmosis, that's more of an integrated methodology that's just come to me. But I've studied so many. Like Reiki was back in the early 80s, and I did become a Reiki master, and I did teach a couple classes, and theta healing, access consciousness, Ewan method. I mean, there's so many of them, healing touch, and I kind of combine them all together depending on what the person needs. And what I know, and making sure all the chakras are open before we even start so that the energy is flowing. That's the thing, is to reconnect to, it's almost like on a cellular level, that you connect no matter what body. Spiritual body might vibrate a little higher than the physical body because the physical body's more dense. But sometimes physical ailments happen in a body that started in a spiritual body. So what is kind of interesting as far as anatomy goes is that we have spiritual anatomy that looks just like our physical body. So we have holograms. So you have a holographic causal body, mental body, etheric body, astral body, etc. And what's interesting, I think, is that 80% of the time, wounds and disconnects, those globs of energy, as I think of them, very scientific, are lodged in the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the chakra system. And then they get lodged in other places too. So there's many places to go. And any energy work that I've ever studied or done, the common denominator for myself is that I share what I hear and what I see. And oftentimes I want to know what's going on. Like I said, like, Vicki, why did you pause with, calling in my guides? So I share everything that I hear and I see. And what happens now is that the light takes over. The light, suddenly, it's almost like I don't have to say anything because the person is encased in this beautiful golden energy. And that's all there is. So that's what I mean. Like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't mean that in an incompetent way, but it's very mysterious and sacred. The vehicle that I am that allows this facilitation of the energy to do it. The light does it, not me. So there are clearing statements that Access Consciousness uses. Are you familiar with Access Consciousness?
No, I'm not. What is Access Consciousness?
It's a body of energy work. It's accessing consciousness. And you know how reflexology is for your body? It's on the bottoms of your feet. All those nerve endings connect. Well, everything's one thing. So we always forget that too. We seem like we're separate. But Access Consciousness has 32 points on the head, mostly around the ears and back of the head and all that. And when you hold those points, you change someone's life with ease and grace. It's really amazing. And the clearing statement goes right over your head consciously. It goes like this: right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And you're like, what? But it is a shortened version of all the ways that life comes at us and that we clear it out so that we're not stuck. So that's like defragging your computer, if you understand computer terminology. You get rid of all the crap that you don't need just by holding these points. So one of the points is on the temple. So if you just hold the temple, you can imagine an imaginary line of energy going back and forth. And if you think or say out loud, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds, it's clearing out all your points of view about healing, not getting enough healing, all of your points of view about healing. So it's about consciousness, and it's about remembering that you are this expanded being. You're not this contracted, fearful thing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. There's so many amazing energy work modalities out there. And that's my passion, is energy work. It
Mm.
always has been. And to talk about it is even more fun, because
Yeah.
you can only work with one-on-one, or you can teach a class and teach them how to do it, teach, the givers and the receivers. But what's most important about access to me is that it's called access consciousness bars, because bars can be like limiting, right? You're behind bars, you're limiting yourself
Yeah.
consciously. And this opens you up. When you have your bars run, oh my gosh, it's kind of scary in a way, almost like if you were standing on a carpet and that carpet was pulled out in front of you, because your reality looks different. Your reality is different because you don't have all those sticky points of view anymore that are in your way. It's like that energy, you unstick it, and then you become more of who you truly are, a divine being. I don't know that Gary Douglas, the founder, would call it that, or Dane here, HEER, if they would call it divine self, but I do. I think of it as love. They think of it as probably, I don't know, consciousness. And it is that. It's neutral. You're not positive or negative, you're neutral. And when we're neutral, we can see the world clearer. When you were talking, I kept hearing the word misperception. It's kind of like that's what happens with self-healing, is that you clear out all those misperceptions that you kind of made up. Oh, that person's mad at me, or well, I did this wrong, or all that BS. It's just not truth.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is to empower people to know and have the experience of who they really are. And I think that's what happens when I get to work with someone. It's very sacred. It's not like, hey, let me swing a chicken over my head and you're going to be healed. It is so not that. It is so sacred that we go very deep. And then when the light takes over and I share what I'm hearing and seeing, the receiver actually, well, I'll tell you, the definition of transmosis, nobody could tell me what it meant. So I finally went within and asked Spirit, what is transmosis? Because I heard that when I was doing Reiki with someone years ago. And transmosis is an unconscious transfer and assimilation of higher frequencies to raise the recipient's energy to equal the source energy. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for self-healing. You just, I don't know if you sift it out, you loosen it up, you clear someone up so that they can remember who they truly are, and then take care of themselves and honor that. It's an honoring of self and kindness. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling. What was your question?
No, it was, you know what, this is, this conversation is just around, self-healing, and understand that there are other realms outside of getting that magic blue pill, because there is no magic blue pill, and that there are other options out there, and options that may not be spoken about in the conventional world that in the world that we live in. We don't necessarily, our insurance is not going to pay for Reiki healing.
Right.
And I learned something new. I've never heard of access conscious bars. So this was something really new. And I wanted to ask about the access conscious bars. I'm assuming you're facilitating this on someone, okay?
Yes.
And when you're doing it, are you able to feel or see the blockages as you're like in there, around their skull?
Sometimes. It's more about being really present with the person and just holding that space for them. And the energy of the person is actually getting altered, I'm going to say, that they are actually doing the work. I get to facilitate, because you can do self-healing on yourself right behind your ears. There's a little valley right behind the ears. There's the mastoid bone, and then there's this little valley in your skull. And if you just gently hold those points, that's called your implant band. And if you think of us as a program or a computer, not that Access does, but you just hold those points, and you can just have the intention, that clearing statement Tracey was talking about.
Yeah.
Or you can remember it, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, covids, and beyonds. It does it. It's like a command that actually releases all of these thoughts, feelings, emotions, considerations, judgments, all the ways that we've pretty much limited ourselves. And it's the whole reason we're implanted here anyway. I mean, we're in a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
And just by gently, and a session would be like an hour and 15 minutes, and you just hold these points. And yes, for me, sometimes I do hear and share what I hear and see. But if I was doing it in the purest fashion, I would be completely silent unless the recipient on the table wanted to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first time, they say, in Access Consciousness, that it's the first time a human body truly is receiving, because there's no sex involved, there's no anything else other than just being and receiving the release of these energies. And it kind of gets the gunk out of the way. That's why I say it's like defragging your computer. You just get rid of stuff. And then, like in a computer, when you save your files, that way they don't come back after you've deleted them and stuff like that. There's a place where you're doing that so that it doesn't come back. And I would akin that to be like the liquid golden light in the other energy work, the multidimensional body balancing. So I just pull it all together and call it transmosis, because I don't know exactly what you need. You would fill out a form and tell me what you wanted to work on physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And then I have a map. It's an 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper that has everything on it that I've ever learned from multidimensional body balancing that needs to be cleared. And then I use applied kinesiology. I call you in 100% pure divine light, and I ask for your highest and greatest good. And then I use applied kinesiology or muscle testing, and I ask spirit to show me. That's pretty much what happens. Spirit, you show me. And then I'm guided by what I hear and I see to do it. So you can tell me what you want. I can tell you what I think spirit wants. But then they may have a whole different, they, meaning our guides of 100% pure divine light, the highest of high, the holiest of holy, can tell us what is really in your highest and greatest good. So I record the session, because I don't want someone to have to pay attention so much and they take notes or any of that. And then I send the audio recording to someone, and I hear that when they listen to it again, it goes even deeper.
Yeah.
So I am a facilitator of energy that supports people to become more whole. And why is that a big deal? Because we don't want to just be all physical or all mental or all emotional or all spiritual. You want to be a balance of it all. Just like our physical body is always returning to homeostasis, it does it automatically. And so does our spiritual realm of energy work too. So
this is definitely some beautiful information. And I'm assuming when someone comes to see you, they're in the realm of ready to receive, because they came to you. They want to receive the healing. How, I know every individual is different, but kind of like the average, do people usually see healing in one session with you, or it's usually like, okay, we got to go through this about 3-4 times?
Yeah, no, it's up to the person. It's not like therapy where you come every week or twice. No, as a matter of fact, I hosted a women's group here, and a couple of the women in the group were recipients of my energy work. And I was saying, people say it's really great and they really like it, but how come they never come back? And my friend said, Tracey, oh my God, everything that you give us in a session, I am still integrating it. And it's, 8 months later. So I can have my misperception of saying, oh, I'm really not that good. People don't really like the work. No, it's very sacred, and it's up to each individual. I do have someone that comes, someone who had a terminal illness. I would go to her home once a week because she asked for it and she wanted it. I have someone that had a nervous breakdown, and this client comes every other week. I have people that I've worked with once, and then I don't see them for like 5 months, and then they come back. So I don't have any prescription, and I could muscle test and say, when should I come back? And sometimes I am told, and so I say in 4 weeks or in 6 weeks. But I definitely do not prescribe. If I was following all that marketing coaching stuff, I'd say, oh yes, buy a package and come in. I can't go there. I just don't.
It's very individualistic. And which is beautiful because this is exactly how we all are. We are all unique individuals out here, and we all are dealing with different situations.
Yeah.
So there's not one package. So I think that's absolutely beautiful that, it's very individualistic. Now, if a person, let's say, comes in there like a skeptic, because, like, oh, this stuff, does it really work? Um, would Can the skeptic receive the energy, do you think, if
I
they're
do.
already putting blockers up there?
I do. I'm not going to push. I don't know what's in their highest and greatest good, but spirit does. And
Yeah.
I'm having a client come to mind, and she was in her late 70s or so, and she received it, and I'll just say it's the people who want me to do it for them where
Hmm.
it doesn't work as well, because it's really not. If somebody drinks alcohol and does drugs, this work is very subtle, so it
Hmm.
doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
But this one person who came, it was like one of the deepest sessions I've ever done. And I can feel the resistance, right? But I'm not going to push. I'm just going to gently love
Yeah.
them through the work. She almost couldn't walk when she was walking out of the house. I have a home office. She was kind of like losing her balance and stuff. I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you grounded enough to drive?" And she says, "Yes, I'm fine." And then I find out later that she didn't think anything of it because of probably her belief system, but everyone else in her family came and really liked it and received healing. So it's not my job to convince anyone.
Hmm.
Sometimes people come and they go, "Oh, I just heard the word transmosis and I had to come.
Yeah.
I had to receive this information." There's a resonance or there isn't, and I'm working on detachment. I'm working on not taking it personal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Definitely.
I have this beautiful client. Oh my God. And she has pain in her heart because she lost both of her children
Oh
at
no.
different times. And when she got off the table, she told me, "I do not have that pain in my heart anymore." It was like a stab.
Wow.
And then other people, just cry and they don't know
Yeah.
why because they're really healthy, but
Yeah.
yet there's something going on that we're not aware of. So
Hmm.
it's a beautiful experience, I have to say. And it's not like it's because of me, but I
Hmm.
guess I was divinely appointed to honor this. I almost feel like a messenger sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes information comes through and I don't remember it. And I'm not
Hmm.
like a trance channel and all that stuff. Actually, I've heard that I'm a chinner. I'd never heard of that concept before, chinning, where
Hmm.
I don't channel a being, like the energy comes down, I actually go up and get it. Because you tell me what you want, I see what spirit says you want, and then we work together, and then spirit shows us. So I don't want to sound woo woo because I'm not. I'm very grounded, but I am very aware that these
Yeah.
energies exist and that this is serving people at such a deep level that I can't even explain it. And it's difficult for people to put words around it after.
Yeah. Yeah. This is this has been a beautiful conversation, bringing awareness around, the energies. And like I said at the beginning, the energies that you spoke of the light and the sound, the energies that we can't see, but they do exist. A lot of times I like to think of them, and, because in today's term, like, we have Wi-Fi, we have, like, when we pick up our cell phone, we're using, 5G or whatever the service is called. You can't, you have confidence when you open your computer, when you pick up your phone, it's going to work. You're not questioning, how's this Wi-Fi even existing? How am I speaking to someone in another country? You're not questioning any of this, but you know it's going to work. And now that I'm learning more and more about the energetic realms and the realms outside of this 3D realm that I have been conditioned to only know most of my life, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm having to trust, like I do when I pick up my telephone. I trust that my phone will be working. I'm not questioning all the other stuff that behind it. I just know it's going to allow me to have access. And that's the same thing that I'm learning with this energetic, field and realm and all of these different healing modalities and techniques that's out there, that it's real.
Yep.
It really is real. But I like to just try to take it to something that people can, like, sometimes understand. Like, okay, when's the last time you questioned how your phone was working? You know, you don't. Well, how do you have access to people all over the world in a matter of seconds? How is this possible? You just trust and believe in the same thing with our healing. We just have to trust and believe that there are outside energies that been here before these cell phones doing its magic. Okay, they've been here supporting us through many, many lifetimes. Um,
Yes.
and you know, it's so beautiful that we've been able to have this conversation, bring awareness around that there are these different healing techniques out here. And you know, before we start to close out, do you have any like last minute advice or words or books to anyone out there, you know, on both ends of the spectrum, the skeptic of like, what are they really talking about? Or the person that's like, I'm here for it. Tell me, where do I go?
Well, I could actually plug myself. I'm a co-author.
Yeah.
I'm a co-author with a book called The Magi Within: Unlocking the Gifts of the Inner Self. And Sandra Lee Serio and Vicki Brown and myself, Tracey Whittet, we put together a workbook that helps people connect with their self on the inner, meaning their intuition. And we coined it the inner magi because it's like your own inner wisdom. You know these things. And so it's a workbook that I offer on my website that is, well, it's, you know, I can show you here. I don't even know if we're just audio, but it's called The Magi Within, Unlocking the Gifts of the Inner Self. And it's a workbook of A to Z. And A is awareness, B is bliss, C is creativity, E is energy, K is kindness. Nice. And the three of us worked together, and it was so beautiful how it all came. Because I would write like 5 chapters, Vicki would write 5, Sandra Lee would write 5, and we actually did the artwork with it too. So the artwork in the book is imprinted, like this is imagination. It's like, how do you draw imagination, right? It's abstract. But it prompts people to like, just like an oracle deck or something, you just kind of open it and see where you go. And today I just opened it up to nothingness.
Oh, okay. Nothingness. Okay.
And then we write a chapter because it is a difficult concept to understand. We ask questions. And so with let's just say kindness, because people can relate to that a little bit better. It's like when you're driving your car on your way to work or the grocery store or something, and somebody cuts you off, are you going to react? If you're being with kindness all day, and it's a way to get people to connect and know how they are feeling on the inner. And the last thing I want to say about that is, and also it's a free PDF download, but you'd have to download it and print it if you wanted it paper, or you can go to Amazon. But it's Tracey Whittet, Traceywhittet.com, and then /book. And I want people to have access to this information because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. And you can just be with yourself. Nobody needs to know that you're working with kindness all day, and you can just notice yourself. Oh wow, I was judgy. I didn't like that when that person did that. Or are you compassionate and kind because you know that person's late and they got up late or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many ways that we can empower people, and this is one way, the Magi Within. It's really good. And I want to say, last I want to say, sorry to interrupt you, is that Buckminster Fuller said 1% is visible and 99% is invisible. So if you think about that, it's kind of mind-blowing. There's a lot going on here that we're not even aware of, and we can tap into that.
Yeah.
It's all about empowerment. It's all about self-love, and it's all about self-responsibility, but not in a homework negative way.
Yeah.
It's self-love. You know, it's time that each individual becomes sovereign. They become dependent upon themselves, and of course we want external love and support. But I would love it that I was just so connected to the divine that I almost it didn't matter what anyone thought about me. You know, like I wouldn't need encouragement from the outside because I had it all within.
Yeah.
Because we do. But it's a perception.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so beautiful. I mean, self-love and self-care has definitely been a huge force within my life over the past couple of years. Yeah. And I didn't know it was missing until it came.
And don't you feel more whole when you have it?
Yeah, I mean, I unknowingly started going on a journey about 5 years ago, unknowingly. But once I got on my journey and opened myself up, like we were talking about earlier, being open to receive, um, so many beautiful things have come out of this journey, and one of them has been self love and the awareness that about self love. So I'm so grateful for it, and yeah, and I'm so grateful that you were here today. Now, do you have anything else to tell us about your offerings?
Just that right now I'm just doing one-on-one sessions with people over Zoom and in person here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So if you ever come here on vacation, it's a beautiful place to visit. It's very spiritual. It's very beautiful. But on Zoom, it works very well. So if you're just curious or interested, I invite you to just to go to the website and schedule a session and take it from there. There's no pressure. It's an honor and it's very sacred. And I consider it a privilege. I mean, to support people at such a deep, loving level of life. Mm-hmm. And eventually I'll have a class and people can take classes and online and all that kind of thing. But right now I'm just doing the one-on-one sessions. I don't want to say just. It's pretty potent. It's pretty powerful. So I'm here to serve if you're called to it. And if not, blessings to you.
yeah. Whatever resonates with you. And my last question of the day is, what does becoming unique mean to you?
Becoming unique is actually allowing yourself to be okay and embrace your true nature, who you really are, what you really like, and acknowledging your inner gifts for myself, it's, trusting my inner knowing, because my intuition's pretty high. I'm pretty empathic. And when I follow my own unique perspective or filter in life, my life is effervescent, it's affluent, it's so beautiful. So it's really that connection, self-connection and self-love to no one else can do it except you. Your unique gifts, and expressing them wholeheartedly, with abandon, just being who you are. That unique quality needs to be here and go into this beautiful energetic soup, because we're all in the same boat. This is humanity, and we're uplifting together. As one rises, we all rise, and our uniqueness is our beauty, our love, our gifts. So do it.
Yes, I love it all. You said so much in that. Yeah, our uniqueness that you ended it with, our uniqueness is our gift, our beauty, and yeah, let's embrace it. We don't have to be over here being like everyone else. It's okay to be you. So right. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Was that 1 hour up? I just got a notification. Is it real? Okay. So thank you. I appreciate having you today.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you. You're beautiful.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you, Tracey, for showing up for the Becoming Unique podcast. I would like to close off this episode by saying that I am calling in 100% pure divine light. For you guys that have a copy of my book, Your Guide to Bringing More Acts of Self-Care, or even if you don't have a copy of it, the second chapter in the book is all about affirmations. And before I jump into the affirmations, I talk about the power of I am and the power of the words that we have. So being mindful when we use, the I am affirmations, that we're saying it in a high vibrational tone and positive outlooks that we want to go on in our lives. Being mindful, it's easy to say negative things sometimes. I am sick is one of the ones I love to say all the time, when we may want to learn how to change the wording to that, to I am healing. But if we think about how we use, a lot of negative self-talk within our lives, sometimes we do something wrong. Oh, I'm a klutz. Oh, I'm a mess. Oh, I can't do that. it's very powerful, and then it's like we put the spell on ourselves of the negative talk that we're saying to ourselves. So I just want to talk for just a quick moment as I close this show out and just talk about the power of the words and the language that we are having with ourselves. Tracey had spoke about, she didn't say the power of I am, but she talked about calling in 100% pure light, sealing the words that we're saying to ourselves with bringing in all of this high vibrational positive light and sealing it with golden light. She spoke of that stuff at the beginning, and she also talked about, saying to your guys or whoever you may believe in, or just say to yourself, however you want to see things, because I know all of us show up differently, and so we don't have to call to, your God, your guys. You can call within yourself, and just to make announcements that, you're calling in to clean, clear, and heal and harmonize me. Understanding the power of the words that we have on ourselves is just so powerful, important, and healing. It's healing. And today's episode, I wanted to have a conversation about self-healing. And that starts with ourselves. We don't have to wait for someone else to say these words to us. We can say them to ourselves every single morning. And I'm just going to go back to what Tracey was saying because she was the guest on today's show. But she did talk about, clean, clear, heal, and harmonize me. Calling in 100% divine light. If we put that power on ourselves every single morning before we walk out the door, do we understand how the vibration within us can change? It doesn't hurt to try it. It really doesn't hurt to try. So yeah, another amazing episode. I thank Tracey so much for coming on to this podcast and chatting with us. We have a couple more weeks of podcasts to go to talk about a little more, conversation around healing with different voices and different subject matters. But I just feel like they all fall in the category of healing because it's all about uplifting us. And when we're uplifted, we're vibrating in a higher space. So yeah, thank you for showing up for the Becoming Unique podcast. See you guys next week. Bye.